Hi everybody, welcome. We're now going to do the workflow on the picture of Chris, the one we did not get to last night during the Photography Schoolhouse DittoCam session due to technical difficulties. Alright, so just let me point out the lighting here. You can see the shadowing effect along the bridge of the nose. You can see the highlights on the sides of the nose. You can see the water. You can see the catch lights in the eyes. You notice that? That's from that main light I had nice and low. So we got this shadowing effect, which is really all working together and in harmony in order to create that dramatic look that we want. All right, so the first thing I want to do, and again, this is optional. I like it, unsharp mask, 20, 60, 0 are the three settings, and that creates a defog. We call it defog. We get criticized from some people who are technically purists who don't like some of the techniques, and that's one of the techniques that don't go over well. But you know, I work in a busy studio, and we pump stuff out every week, portraits, and you know, some of the techniques that we use technically are destructive. But you know, here's the thing: I'm just cloning, by the way, right now. When I like to compare back to the film days. If we were really technically so pure and perfect, back in the film days, we would have been shooting everything on a 4x5 with, Kodachrome 64, and we wouldn't have been using these $300 soft-R filters on these very, very expensive lenses and using portrait film, which was softer by nature, more pastel. You know, all these things were technically destructive. And, you know, we'd get these images and we'd retouch the print and spray them with texture spray. All these things were designed to really create ultimately, which is what all that really matters, is a nice portrait in the end. So I don't get too hung up on whether or not the technique I'm doing is destructive in theory. It's whether or not it looks good. And one of the techniques is the dodge. Dodging the highlights and the colors in the eyes technically is breaking apart the pixels, but you know what? You're never going to notice. I know there are other techniques. I'm aware of them. Duplicate layer and using masks and all that. I just don't do them. I use the good old-fashioned dodge and burn. It reminds me of the good old days of the darkroom. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna clone out now some of the red in the eye. If I zoom in close, all I'm doing is cloning out the red in the eye. See that? A lot of people had that. We used to do this back in the day when we were printing prints. We'd have to go in there, and if there was too much red, we'd have to lighten the eyes. It was always a lot of work. So I'm going to dodge this. I'm going to bring out the eye color a little bit more. Okay, and I'm going to dodge the whites. Now you got to be careful. You don't want to dodge the whites too much. It's going to look freaky. All right, so I just gave it a quick pass. All right, so I did a quick fix up of the eyes, and I did a quick cleanup of the whites of the eyes. Now let's go to my Topaz. Topaz Adjust, one of my favorite plugins, pretty much almost the only plugin I really use. Now, I talked about it quick last night. I go to Photo Pop is one of my favorite settings, or Portrait Drama, or Dramatic, or Small Details, or Mild Details, or Detailed. Those are pretty much the settings that I use the most. You have to, every image seems to be different, so you have to kind of pick and choose. In this case, I'll go with that last one. When I'm not going to go full power, I'm going to go fade and just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, let's bring it up a little more. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go to Burn Tool. Now, in the Burn, I'm going to go to Highlights. This is very important because when I do, and at about 20 to 25 on the exposure. Let's bring that brush size down a bit. When you go highlights, any of the lighter details will get darkened a little bit on the edges. So I'm just burning all around. Then I'm going to go to midtones. Now you see, now I can burn in a little more because the highlights I've given it something to bite onto. You notice the detail on the bottom part of this helmet, the chin guard. It's really starting to pop out now. Okay, so that's looking pretty good just the way it is. If I really wanted to darken it even more, make it more brooding, let's go to multiply, duplicate layer, top layer, multiply, and now let's erase some of that away. And you can see how brooding it's looking now. You know, that's pretty much the look we want. It's very intense. Okay. Again, notice the lighting, the way the lighting is really working on this image. Now I'm going to show you a really, really simple technique. This is so simple you're going to laugh. Let's go to Adjustment, Saturation. Take the saturation down, and technically you have a half black and white image. Okay, so if you wanted to intensify it, and if you wanted to increase the contrast, go to Image, Adjustment, Curves. I always use curves. You can make it a little more brooding. Now I have an action for curves, and this is basically what I do is I use it's a basic S curve like that, and anytime I need to add more, I just simply fire off that action. So that's pretty much it. You can do this as well. Go to Adjustments, Selective Color, Blacks. I don't always do this, but if an image warrants it, I can darken it even more. It just darkens the blacks. You can just tweak it a little bit more. So the thing is, you got to remember is that really the strategies that I'm using, the techniques that I'm using, are all really techniques that are foundational, and they've been around for a long, long time. It reminds me of the good old days of film. And I lost my I lost my menu here. So if you got the two most important things working for you, and that is a good white balance and a good exposure, you're 99% in. I shoot JPEG 100% in the studio, and we get good results. I mean, when you go to the bank and we make our deposits at the end of the week, that's really all that matters. Are our clients happy? Are we making enough profits? Are we successful in our studio? And really, that's where it all matters the most. So having said that, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to shoot raw JPEG. I'm just telling you what I do, and these are the techniques that I do as far as getting the image prepared, getting the image done. And when I work full of the image in our studio, it's a lot about saving time, and we pretty much do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, using pretty much the same tools with very, very, very little variation. So anyways, if you want to see more on how we market, go to my studio newsletter, not the studio newsletter, sorry, my marketing newsletter at profitablestudio.com. I send out a Monday newsletter every week, and there's back issues you can get to. Check that out. So, all right, thanks for your time. Bye for now. Here's the image before. There it is after. Before, right off the camera, after.